Dea Simon 90. The udder. The udder is prohibited by rabbinic order, considering that, according to biblical law, meat cooked in milk from a slaughtered animal is not forbidden. Therefore, one can grill and eat the udder after cutting and removing the milk it contains. So, an udder from a cow presents complications because it cannot be cooked in milk. That is by biblical prohibition. It's prohibited by rabbinic order. And according to biblical law, meat cooked in milk from a slaughtered animal is not forbidden. Therefore, you can grill and eat the udder after cutting and removing the milk. The milk does have to be removed. If it has been cut in a cross shape and pressed against the wall, so that no trace of milk, it can be cooked together with other meat. If the udder is not cut beforehand, whether from a young animal that has not yet suckled or from a mature animal, it is forbidden to cook it. If this precept is transgressed and the udder is cooked alone, and even more so if it is grilled, it can be eaten. If cooked with other meat, the meat must present a quantity 60 times greater than that of the udder, including the udder itself, meaning that if the whole presents such a quantity, the udder is forbidden and the rest is permitted, otherwise all is forbidden. So it has to be cut before it is drained of its residual milk. If it is not cut, whether it's from an animal that is too immature, has not yet suckled, or from a mature animal, it is forbidden to cook it. So this is a important and necessary criteria for eating it, is that it must be cut, and then it must be pressed so that no milk remains. If this is transgressed, and the udder is cooked alone, and even more so if it is grilled, it can still be eaten. If cooked with other meat, it must be 60 times to be nullified, including the udder itself. If the whole presents such a quantity, the udder is forbidden and the rest is permitted. If the whole presents such a quantity, meaning perhaps not including the udder, then the udder is forbidden. Otherwise, all is forbidden. In any case, if it falls into another pot, everything is forbidden, unless the said pot contains a quantity of meat 60 times greater than that of the udder, just as previously, because the cooked udder is a forbidden piece. It is evaluated by its volume at the cooking, not by the volume it had fell. If it falls, everything is forbidden unless the said quantity of meat 60 times greater than that of the udder, just as previously, because the cooked udder constitutes a forbidden piece, and this forbidden piece can be nullified within 60. That evaluation of 60 times is at the time of cooking, not by the volume it had when it first falls in. It would have been greater, and that after it is cooked, it will become smaller, and we evaluate by the time that it is cooked. The glass opine that if into which the udder fell did not contain the mentioned quantity, it is not included in the evaluation for the second pot. This opinion is the most substantiated. Yeah, when there's a time, I think it is important to go through this more in detail. It is customary not to cook the udder with other meat, When one wants to fry it alone or in pies, it must be first cut in cross shape and pressed against the wall. But for grilling, it suffices to cut it in a cross shape. In a case where transgressing the law has been cooked with other meat, it is declared permitted if already faced with a fait accompli and if it involved a great loss, meaning that it's completely cooked or that it could be a great loss. Otherwise, no. The custom of making several crucial incisions on the udder is preferable to pressing it against the wall. For grilling, it is deliberately prepared in the previous manner. But in the presence of a fait accompli, it is permitted even without any preparation if grilled alone. If it is deliberately prepared in the previous manner with the incisions, but in the presence of a fait accompli, that it's completely cooked, it is permitted even without any preparation if grilled alone. If grilled under these conditions with other meat, only the piece above is declared permitted, everything below is forbidden. Presumably everything below the grilled udder. But not all pieces are declared forbidden, fearing that the spit may have turned. Considering that in the presence of fait accompli nothing is feared, deliberately one refrains from cooking or frying it in a pot, even without either meat and even when dried. In the presence of a fait accompli, it is permitted cooking, it has been prepared as indicated. If dried for 30 days, it is permitted even cooked with other meat. It is customary to use the udder for pies cooked in the oven, but not for those cooked in a pan, as the pan is comparable to the pot. I think there may be a fear that the milk drained out would cook the meat within it, hence transgressing a biblical provision. Some zealous individuals abstain from using it for all kinds of pies, if not dried. Some forbid cooking together in a small oven, the pies prepared with the udder and those prepared otherwise, and require placing some near the oven's opening. Although this is only an act of supererogation, it is advisable to take it into account deliberately. It is permitted to cut a hot udder with a knife used to cut meat, all the more so a raw udder even filled with milk. The same applies vice versa. Dishes of one can also be used for the other. One can use the spit used for one for the other. Additionally, it is permitted to place them even hot on a single plate. For once grilled, the udder is comparable to other meat, but only if it has been prepared as mentioned, that is with the incisions, otherwise, or pressed. Otherwise, all these cases are forbidden deliberately, meaning l'chachila, and permitted in the presence of a fait accompli, which is bediavet. One does not consider the milk-filled cavities found in the udder prepared according to the law and grilled. Similarly, one does not consider the milk stay in the udder for a day before being grilled, for in such a case the stay in a liquid is not comparable to cooking. For grilling or salting the udder together with other meat, one follows the law relating to the liver, just like the liver requires drying of the blood within before consumption. A certain author permits salting the udder with other meat. It should not be salted, according to the gloss, with other meat, but it is permitted in the presence of a fait accompli, b'diavad. The stomach, once free of milk and wash, is comparable to other meat and can therefore be salted together, having no similarity with the udder.